My name is Naa Acquah, and I'm really pleased to welcome you to this very unusual NUS National Conference. My job at NUS is to chair the Democratic Procedures Committee, which means we look after all the democracy that goes on to make sure it's happening fairly, properly, and that is accessible to as many as you as possible. Now, obviously, this is not how we planned on doing National Conference. Usually, we'd be all together in a massive conference venue with the buzz of thousands of students coming together to speak their minds. I'm so sad that we aren't all together in person, but I'm really pleased that we're together digitally and in spirit. So, due to the coronavirus pandemic, we've had to move all our activity online to protect you and others in society. But the show must go on, as they say, and we've done everything we can to make sure your voices can still be heard. I'm going to now explain how this will happen. Now, some of you might be seasoned NUSers. This may be your 10th conference. If so, congratulations. But most of you will be getting involved for the first time, and that is fantastic. Basically, NUS's job is to represent students at the national level. To do that, we need your direction. We need to know what you think, what you want us to be and saying and be doing on your behalf. The way you give us that direction is firstly through elections, and secondly through policy votes on important issues. This year, we're talking about climate change, mental health, accessible healthcare, international students, student housing, prevent, and the vision of a new education system. So there's loads of decisions that you need to make. But we're going to have to do all of this a bit differently this year. The short version is we're going to publish videos and documents that you can watch and read. And then once you've made your mind up, you can vote online. So let me take you through this step by step. It might help if you get a copy of the National Conference agenda and you can follow that whilst I explain things. So pause the video now and get the National Conference agenda open if you haven't already. With Tuesday 31st of March, which is all about the officer elections. On Tuesday 31st of March at 9 a.m, we're going to publish the election speeches for the officer positions. So that's for the election of the National President, the Vice President Higher Education, and the Vice President Further Education. You'll be able to watch their speeches in your own time and also can check their written manifestos and recording of the hustings too. On the National Conference website, click on the Tuesday tab for all of the content I've just listed. Once you've made your choice, you'll be able to cast your vote. Remember, voting in the officer elections closes at 5 p.m. on Tuesday the 31st of March. To vote in the election, you'd have already received a separate email entitled Vote in National Conference Elections. Check your junk mail if you've not seen it in your inbox. If you haven't received this email, please email membership@nus.org.uk. Remember to vote in the officer elections before 5 p.m. on Tuesday 31st of March. Okay, moving on to Wednesday the 1st of April. This is a day we'll do all the rest of conference business. At 10 a.m, we're going to kick off with a bit of fun. You can choose between a Zoom party with a live DJ or Zoom chair yoga. Once you've blown away the cobwebs, we'll launch into business. At 11 a.m, we'll publish officer election results. And at 11:15, we'll publish 8 policy videos and the speeches for the National Security Council election. You can watch those in your own time. For the policy, there's 8 policy issues up for discussion, and we're putting up a video for each one to give you an idea of what the policies are about. Also check out the actual policy document itself. We recommend really strongly that you try to have a discussion about policy before voting. Maybe get together online with the rest of your delegation or with delegates from another SU. Then once you've made your mind up on the policy issues, you can vote. To vote on the policy and the National Security Council, and for the people to join my committee, the Democratic Procedures Committee, you'll receive a separate email with a unique link to vote. Voting for policy, the National Security Council and the Democratic Procedures Committee opens at 11:15 Wednesday 1st April and closes 12 noon on Monday the 6th of April. So that's it. We'll be running a virtual help desk 9 to 5 on Tuesday the 31st of March and Wednesday 1st of April. And if you don't get into that, email us at membership@nus.org.uk and we'll be trying to get back to people in real time. We've published a participation guide as well, and we'll really encourage you to follow it. It contains the instructions you need to participate fully. So take part, link up with others, and please don't forget to cast your votes. And thank you for working with us to get business of conference done. Now I'm going to pass you on to the National President, Zamzam Ibrahim, who's got some inspiring words for us in these very challenging times. Zamzam, over to you.
Hello everyone and welcome to NUS Conference. We've always been a movement of firsts and it's a pleasure to welcome you to our first ever digital conference. Fortunately, the reforms last year did anticipate that we'd one day move to some type of digital democracy. But we didn't envision it happen so quickly. But we'll make it work. We've spent enough time tweeting and WhatsApping this year. I'm sure a few videos will absolutely be no problem. Although we may be physically apart, I hope the next couple of days is the opportunity for us to come together in what is a time of national crisis. I've said all along, where students lead, others follow. And it's clear our leadership is needed now more than ever. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Zamzam Ibrahim, the outgoing NUS President, at my very last NUS conference before I go on to different things. But before all that, we've got some very important issues to discuss. So, welcome to everyone who's tuning in, from Edinburgh to Exeter, Bangor to Belfast and beyond. As soon as this is over, I promise we'll be back to visiting student unions. It is genuinely a pleasure to have the opportunity to virtually address you all. Of course, this isn't live, so I'll just assume that you're all clapping right now and laughing at my great jokes. Today the world feels a bit dark and uncomfortable, even a touch scary. So over the next few minutes, I want you to relax and reflect on how lucky we are. Fortunate to be a part of a wonderful movement, blessed by student leaders when leadership is so dearly needed, and proud in the knowledge that what we do means so much to so many. I don't want to spend a long time looking back today because we have so much to look forward to. We all know that the world would be very different without the student movement. Our existence is not only a bond with students and student unions, it is a promise to all in civic society that we believe collectivism is important. We are nothing if not an expression that we believe in the collective action to achieve seemingly impossible things through education. I'm optimistic about how students can change the world, but we know that making that change isn't easy. Every day, I'm inspired by what students do. The student movement is not me, it is not the officers, it's not the conferences, but it's all 7 million students who are volunteering, representing, learning, sharing, and making the case that education can be transformative. Today, it is that sentiment that I want you to hold on to when things feel difficult. And it's particularly difficult when global events can feel all-consuming. This pandemic has brought into sharp relief the interconnected nature of our world. A virus knows no borders, and this means our solidarity shouldn't either. As we begin NUS Conference, I want these few days to reflect the best values of our time, where we could do with all the optimism. Who would have thought that a Conservative Chancellor would inject billions and billions into the economy? If he can be that bold, then surely our asks are modest. Local financial assistance, emergency support, help for self-employed students, the ability to remain in student accommodation, support with self-isolation, and of course, support for our NHS and our wonderful students who choose to support them in this time of need. That means pay protection and proper training to take on this national emergency. And to return to the theme of solidarity across borders, it is clear that we need to be flexible in our visa system to ensure that those who are unable to leave the UK are not forced to. This area is complex, we get it. But the bottom line is, our students need time, empathy, and the ability to make the safest decision for their family and friends. I don't want to dwell on the present issues too long, but before I look to the future, I want to reflect on some of the amazing things we achieved this year. This has felt like an unusual year for all of us in so many different ways, but it hasn't stopped us achieving some amazing things. We've grown NUS's membership for the first time in 5 years. We've won affiliation referendums at Manchester, Sheffield, Kent, Bristol. We've welcomed the National Society of Apprenticeships into full membership. 2.6 million young people registered to vote, up 85% on 2017. Our Vote Savvy app reached 700,000 people in less than 7 days. We published the first significant research on sexual violence in FE. We kept mental health at the top of the agenda across all our institutions. NUS Wales and NUS Scotland have won and won again on fees and regulations. We've been recognised by the Office for Students on our work on student poverty, the Black attainment gap, and the experience of Muslim students. But this will only be possible because of the work of students across the country. We look at Bolton and we say that we won't forget and we will not be content until we can increase their regulations and safety and supports tenant unions to change their conditions until every single student is assured their accommodation is safe. We look at the local elections and we take forward the lessons that we learnt in December. We will mobilise, we will influence, and we will make a difference. We do not forget about Brexit. We say that we're not defeated. We are proudly European, and we are proud founding members of the European Students' Union. And together, we look at all the noise of freedom of speech culture wars, overinflated newspaper headlines, hot takes and mistakes, and say student unions are valuable, students are incredible, and together we can change the world. And this might sound over the top and fanciful, but if you don't believe me, let me tell you about our climate work. This year we launched Teach the Future, a youth-led campaign to urgently repurpose the entire education system around the climate emergency. It's not good enough that sustainability is restricted. Our education system must teach the truth and prepare us for the future. I was so proud that to launch this campaign in Parliament in February and unveil a draft English climate emergency education bill, the first ever education legislation to be written by pupils and students. This comes alongside the work to hold our institutions to account, with 12.4 billion endowments across higher education sector have been divested from fossil fuels. This is the type of change we can make where we are clear in our mission and united in our work. And this is not only about doing good, but an expression of our international solidarity. In the aftermath of the First World War, we facilitated student cooperation across national borders to promote mutual understanding and tolerance. And as we rose to the challenges then, we are asked again today to work towards a better world. So, as you can see, a vibrant, lively and engaged movement allows us to achieve incredible things. I'm so proud to be a part of one of the few parts of civic society which is collective by design. Nearly every student is a member of their students' union, and nearly every student union is a member of NUS. We've spent the last 100 years winning for students, and as we approach the next century, we're called again to harness the power of education to build a better world. We're of course faced with challenges we've never anticipated, but with our new organisation, we have a renewed opportunity to meet them all. Stay safe and stay blessed. Your NUS President, Zamzam.